The headline in today's editions of the Oklahoman Sports page is memory loss. The Oklahoma City Thunder will try to erase the memory of its devastating Game 1 loss in the Western Conference playoff series with the San Antonio Spurs tonight at 8:30, again in San Antonio, where our columnist Barry Trammell will be there with his intrepid co-workers, Anthony Slater and Eric Horn. But we got Barry Trammell on the line to talk about Game 2 tonight. Barry, what's one thing that is fixable, the easiest fix from Game 1 for the Thunder?
The easiest fix is getting back on defense, because that's just pure effort. That's just pure want to. That's just pure remembering to run hard, which they didn't do, especially in the first quarter. They let an old team outscore them 12-0 in fast break points. That's unacceptable. So you fix that, and that helps. However, so many things went the Spurs' way that you got to fix a lot of stuff to make up what I see as a 33-point deficit. Second half didn't really count, but this was a 33-point game at halftime. Thunder's got a lot to work on.
A lot to work on, Barry, and maybe some disagreement about the causes of this lopsided loss. It seemed like Kevin Durant was saying it wasn't an effort problem yesterday. What did you make of Durant's comments?
Oh, I think he was just taking up for his team. To me, when you talk about not trying hard, I think it's more not trying the right way. Ennis Cantor told us after practice today, just a lack of physicality, just not bringing, your A game ready to fight the Spurs. And I think that's what we really need when we talk about, not effort. Nobody is out there really. I'd say, well, the running back on defense was laziness, but a lot of it wasn't just that they quit or they weren't trying very hard. It's just that they didn't try in the right way. So they got to get the right mindset, the right approach. They got to realize that every possession is a huge position in the game. That's the way the Spurs play. The Spurs make you guard every pass, make you guard every screen. The Spurs they got the game down to a science, and they want you to let up and make a mistake. And if you do, you pay.
And yet the Spurs, who, as we look back, 4 years ago, looked like they were exiting the stage as a contender, are roaring back now, due in large part to Kawhi Leonard, who today, in your column, you talked about the Thunder having an appropriate fear, borrowing a Greg Popovich line, appropriate fear of Kawhi Leonard. Barry, I'm interested in a point you made. You talked about game planning for Kawhi Leonard's defense and how that's way different than game planning for somebody's offense. Is there something the Thunder can do when they have the ball to deal with Kawhi Leonard?
Well, I think what you have to do is you have to realize what the Spurs want you to do. Spurs want you to get in the paint. They don't mind if Russell Westbrook gets into the lane, beats his man. Kawhi Leonard did not keep Russell Westbrook out of the paint. But when Westbrook got there was Aldridge and Tim Duncan waiting on him, two long, tall, veteran guys, and Leonard coming from the side or behind, ready to cause havoc. So you got to realize that just because you get in the lane, you're not home free. And sometimes when you get to the lane, the play is still not close to being over. You still need to make another pass, maybe even out, let somebody else drive in, put the Spurs on their heels a little bit, because the way Kawhi Leonard, his long arms, with those teammates who know what they're doing inside, San Antonio's defensive philosophy is, hey, we don't want to give you an open shot. We'll let you shoot in the lane, but it's going to be a very, very, very contested shot.
Barry, the Thunder's been criticized through the years by many people, Charles Barkley chief among them, for being a jump shooting team. Are you suggesting that might be an anecdote tonight in Game 2? Maybe shoot a few more jumpers.
Well, I think they're going to have to shoot. That's where the open shots are with San Antonio. San Antonio does not let you shoot easy shots in the lane. You got to make some 15-footers. You got to make some threes. That's what San Antonio gives you. They will not open that lane up. That's by design. They led the league by far in paint defense. So this is a team that knows what it's doing on defense. It doesn't just get out there and scrap and hope you miss. They've got a definite plan on what they want you to do on offense, and you sort of need to not do it. And now, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, they both can make a lot more shots in the paint than they made the other night. They had a difficult night. But they're not going to – Russell Westbrook's not going to go 8 of 9 on drives into the paint. That's not going to happen against San Antonio, just not the way the Spurs play defense.
Yeah, you made a great point in the podcast, the Thunder Buddies podcast, which you can listen to on News OK right now. Those are not layups that Russell Westbrook is missing. A layup is when you got a clear run at the basket, he's getting there, and there are people and bodies and arms in his way, making those shots a lot tougher. Barry, we talked a lot about the Thunder on the offensive side. Of course, the epic problems were defensive in Game 1. You talked about running back on offense, but the pick and roll play, especially LaMarcus Aldridge, Tony Parker, that was open all night. That was a clinic. What adjustment do you think the Thunder will make in matchups to try to put the brakes on that?
Well, I think the Thunder will I think they might try some switching. They didn't switch much the other night. They just tried to fight over screens. It didn't work at all. It was a disaster. At some point, you still have to fight over screens. But, you know, the Thunder, it loves its versatility. And when you've got Andre Robertson and Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook guarding the perimeter, you should be able to switch some screens. The problem is if you get an Aldridge, the ball being guarded by Westbrook or Robertson, then it's automatically an open shot. Marcus Aldridge does not create space, does not create open space for his shots by putting you farther away from him. He just shoots over you. His space is vertical. He's so tall. He's got such long arms. So how do what Kevin Durant does in terms of, you know, Durant can shoot over people. Aldridge can really do it on the 17-footer. But that might be what you have to live with if you want to switch. I think you'll see some switching. They can also just appeal to the manhood of particularly Russell Westbrook. Fight over the screen. They also can try Andre Robertson with guarding Tony Parker. You know, they don't run a lot of pick and roll with Danny Green. Maybe Westbrook guards Danny Green. Andre Robertson tries his hand at getting over the screen, guarding Tony Parker.
A series-altering change, of course, back in 2012 when the Thunder put Thabo Sefolosha on Tony Parker. Interesting to see if they try that with Robertson tonight. Barry, thanks a lot. You can follow the best coverage team every day at News OK and every morning in the Oklahoman. Enjoy the game.